guys, welcome back to the Six-Side Calcio podcast. I'll be joined by Danny. What's up, bro? You good?
What's up? Yep, I'm good. It's been a while since our last podcast, so I'm excited to get back into the podcast mood. Hearing all these other podcasts I listen to and kind of not recording ours, due to school, and also there wasn't much to talk about because international break. It was only the two Nations League games, which, in my opinion, I'm not a big fan of, but it's still watching Italy play. So something I was looking forward to was watching Italy play. But I kind of wish they would scrap the Nations League, but that's a different topic for a different day. I'm just glad we're back doing the podcast today.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I've missed the podcast. It's kind of like an outlet for us to talk about what we love and get your guys' opinions and your comments on social media, and just give me your opinion on what we have said throughout the podcast. So it's always good to hear that. We missed that, so we're happy to be back. Franchette will not be able to come on to the podcast today. He has work. He's working from 11 a.m. to 2 a.m. So yeah, that's interesting. Nice shift for him. He'll be exhausted when he's home. But yeah, I guess we'll get right into it. We'll talk about Italy today. I guess, Danny, if you want, you can touch up upon the Juventus and Napoli situation if you want. Yeah. Actually, you know what? Might as well get that first, because that's kind of like the main talking point. So you can talk about that a little bit if you'd like.
So there's not much to say because there's nothing we can do so if the backstory, if you guys haven't heard or were living under a rock for a while, Napoli were supposed to be playing Juve October 4th, it was, just before the international break. But Napoli were banned from traveling to Torino due to their government policies because of the COVID situation, which was going on, and how it was how it was the cases were going up in the Campania region. So our government said we banned travel and everyone's got to isolate for 2 weeks. But apparently the Serie A didn't get the memo that we sent, or don't believe us. So Juve still proceeded with the game, and they posted their lineup. They posted the players who were at the stadium, and so the game never happened. So then the league took charge, and they rewarded Juve with a 3-0 win because Napoli, quote unquote, forfeited the match. And also Napoli were deducted 1 point, which in my opinion, that was a little harsh on the league's part. The league, in my opinion, handled this really badly. It's ridiculous how Napoli were banned from traveling because of their government saying, you guys can't travel, we want you guys to isolate. And it's not like Napoli had no cases on the team. Napoli had 2 cases, Zielinski, and a staff member, and Elmas, who was tested positive the night before the game or the day before the game happened. So Napoli right there, that sparked them to say, okay, we might not travel because who else, just in case other people on the team have it, and we don't want Juve to get it, and then other people get it, and which it came out that 2 Juve staff members, I believe, tested positive the day of the game. So in my opinion, I think if someone on the Juve staff or a Napoli team tested positive either the day of the game or right before the game, the night before the game, I think the game should have been pushed back. But in this case, since it was the international break, maybe even played on a Thursday of whenever whenever there's no Champions League or Europa League, the match should have been played there. It's just a shitty situation that Napoli suffered, the 3-0 loss and the point deductive. So I'm not going to say too much about it because Napoli are going to appeal this. So hopefully we win the appeal. And I just think the best case scenario when we do appeal is just they give us a point, but they give us the point back that we lost and just proceed with that. I'll be a little bit happy, but at the end of the day, Napoli were just taking precautionary reasons, protect the league, and now a lot of cases are coming out between I think Inter had a few cases, Milan have a few cases, Juve have Ronaldo and McKinney that just tested positive recently. So who knows if those guys even if they came into contact before the Napoli game, after the Napoli game, when they were supposed to be played. It's just a shitty situation, and I think the league's gotta implement new rules and just find ways to make the league a little safer.
Yeah, I think you covered that extremely well. Well done. Yeah, personally, I agree. I think the game should have been pushed back or postponed because, I don't know. Like, obviously don't know what's going on with the Campania region and like how do I explain it? Like the full details of
the
the
ASL. This
travel
is what
ban.
the group is called. It's like the regional thing. It's called the ASL
Yeah,
in Campania, and there was a letter that was stated towards Napoli. I think it was an email or a letter saying, we don't advise you to travel, and we're not going to let you travel. Kind of that same way. And there was even a contract, even not in the letter that Zielinski got. It stated that any members he's come across in the past day or two should quarantine for 2 weeks because he was tested positive and he was the worst. Apparently, he's the worst one. Like, he's the one that has symptoms. I don't think Elmas and the other staff member have symptoms, but they said Zielinski might have had like symptoms for it. So they said that just anyone he came into contact should quarantine for a few days, even maybe 2 weeks or something, just so they don't test positive or they don't give it to others.
yeah, well said. Yeah,
It's
I
just
think it should have been postponed.
yeah.
Yeah, obviously they weren't allowed to travel. I don't know the full details, but Danny explained it really well. And yeah, well, the decision was made now. Napoli are appealing, and I guess all we can really do is wait for that final verdict to come out, and we'll see what happens with that. Moving on though to the Nations League,
Mm-hmm.
Italy, they played 3 matches, one against Moldova, which is a friendly, so we won't really talk about that too much. The Poland match, interesting one, and same with the Netherlands game. With Moldova, quickly 6-0. There's nothing really like they played well. It's Moldova. Happy to see them scoring. El Shaarawy was, in my opinion, man of the match. He was phenomenal. Cristante played well. I know I sound biased right now, but I'm just being honest. Like with what I saw, I think they played really well.
Yeah.
I think Berardi was one of the best players on the pitch. Everyone played well. We went
And
6-0.
Caputo got the goal.
Yeah, and also Caputo, he scored as well. So that was great to see. Poland. By the way, Dan, do you have anything to say about Moldova, or I just brushed upon it?
You brushed upon it really well. There's not much to say about that match. It was just Italy just showed their class compared to Moldova. That's all. Yeah. I think there's nothing to touch upon. I think it was just a well played match by Italy, and they just showed their class against them. Like, that's all you can say probably about that match.
Yeah, definitely. Moving on to the Poland match. This one has a little bit more talking points to go over here. One thing I want to say, Pellegrini, when I first saw his starting lineup, I was pretty worried. Left wing. He's played there before for Italy a couple of times now. I think maybe 2 times before that match against Poland. So
yeah,
he's played there before. He played well, actually. I did not expect that, to be honest, especially for someone who, in his own position for Roma, can't really string too many good games together. So to see him play good in a different position was good to see. He seems much more comfortable when he's playing for the national team. He played well. Belotti really couldn't get anything going. Chiesa overall, let's get into it now. Chiesa for me is a player that I don't want to say is finished because he's very young and you never know. He still has time to grow, but he's struggling. He's clearly struggling and he forces everything. He's not patient. I don't want to call him selfish, but that's the only word I can really think of right now. He's a selfish.
He's not a team player, that you can say that. He focuses more on his own stats than, say, the team stats. And there was one chance in the match, I don't know how he misses that. Like, you're a professional soccer player. You just made a big money move to Juventus, who history, you see players like that are legends coming out of that club, playing for that club, and you want to live up to that, and you miss a chance like that. Like, I don't know. For me, this international break, I used to be a supporter of Chiesa. After these few matches, I know I'm not a big fan of Nations Leagues, like I said. Like, I think for me, I think it's kind of like a useless tournament, that it's just a money grab tournament, competitive friendlies, I call it. but I always want to see Italy do well. And and as an Italian and seeing the way Italy plays, I expect better from Chiesa, and I expect a lot better from the attack. It's just he was horrible these 2 matches. I'll put it that way, and I lost a lot of respect because he's what I call it, like a selfish player. That's what he is.
Yeah.
And
And
it's not
yeah,
going to be good with Juve because they have a lot of players who are like Chiesa, and I don't think he'll fit in Juve if he continues to play like this.
yeah, and I also heard he'll be playing as a wing back, which I don't think is going to work. He has a good work rate, but defensively he's not very defensively skilled, so I don't see that working out too well, to be honest. But moving on from that, also another player I don't like too much is Bonucci. I feel like he forces the long ball way too much.
Mm-hmm.
He receives the ball. It's kind of funny, to be honest. I find it hysterical. He gets the ball. He does the exact same scan of the field. Like he looks left, he looks right, he looks around, and he always ends up just kicking it to the other side of the pitch. And I'll never understand it because I understand he's a good passer of the ball, but to be honest, I think lately he's kind of a little bit overrated his passing ability.
Yeah.
He just seems to, even against Netherlands, he would pass the ball to Van Dijk half the time. He just booted up to him and he'd win the header and same thing. He passed out of bounds a few times in the Netherlands game. I just found Bonucci very irritating to watch personally. I don't think he had a bad game, but on the ball he was horrific in my opinion.
Even his defending against
Even his defending.
The first goal the only goal Italy gave up this international break to Van de Beek. I don't know what. Again, I think it was Bonucci. He was defending backwards. His back was towards the guy. I don't know.
Yeah,
Do they teach that? That's how they teach you guys how to defend in Italy now? I don't know. Because back then, I don't know, maybe a few years ago, you would see the players step up, but he's turning his back. Showing hey, look at my number, look at my name. Step in front. I don't know. I'm no defender, but I don't remember when I used to play soccer and that my back was towards the player shooting with the ball. I don't know what they teach. I don't know what sometimes these guys do. They defend, how they defend sometimes.
Yeah. Another one, Acerbi, I didn't like against Poland. I didn't like him, to be honest. Acerbi didn't perform well, in my opinion. He's a little too slow. I don't know. Italy always has had a slower defense compared to others, but
Yeah.
I don't know. Acerbi personally, I don't like how he performed. People I did like, we'll get into the positives. Emerson, I really liked throughout the games. Barella, for me, was the best player out of every match. He was fantastic. And Pellegrini, I think he was up there. He played well. Verratti did his job. Jorginho, nothing special, but did what he had to do.
Yeah.
And Donnarumma, I think, actually had a really good string of games, to be honest. I think Donnarumma was good. He made some big saves against the Netherlands.
Yeah.
I think Donnarumma played well. How about you, Danny? Who were your positives throughout the games?
For me, my positives, I think, in my opinion, the left backs, really positive between Emerson and Spinazzola. I really like the way those two play.
Yeah.
Barella is, for me, I think he's probably the best Italian midfielder. And he does everything. He creates a lot of chances. He's a ball winner. He never stops running, and he's just one player. I love the way he's playing this series, and especially, and I always liked him even when he was at Kennedy. He's just a good player to watch. Pellegrini, you know what? I gotta give him a lot of credit. He's not the best player when it comes to Roma, and I know, Enzo, you can agree with me with that.
Yeah.
But when he played the left wing position to fill in the role of Insigne, he did pretty good. I gotta give him credit. There's a few times on those corners I want to slap him, but
imagine watching that every week.
But overall, he played pretty good. Besides the set pieces, he played pretty good. Our midfield, I'm really happy with. I feel like that's probably one of our strengths in our team, besides the defense. I'm really surprised the way Chiellini played too against the Netherlands. He had a good, solid game. And for me, Donnarumma, and I said it in our prediction video, I think this kid's taking the next step, and I think this could be the year that he breaks out into becoming a world-class keeper. He's a good keeper as of right now, but I think this season he could potentially be top 10, maybe top 15, top 10 goalie in the world. And I think this kid, he's going to be a good player, a really good goalie for the future of Italy and the future of Milan. The only thing he's got to work on is his footwork, and he'll be good in every aspect of the game for goalies.
Yeah, I agree. I think once he gets the distribution fixed up and touch that up, he'll be good. Yeah, I can't really think what else to say, really. I think Italy, they struggled offensively. I was very disappointed. Another talking point, Immobile. I did not like Immobile at all.
No,
Immobile.
I didn't like our strikers
Yeah.
either. And usually these are guys that score for their clubs. And seeing, like one thing I hate about a lot of, like especially like Italians too, who they criticize Immobile. Yes. But also, if you're going to criticize Immobile, why don't you criticize Belotti? Belotti, in my opinion, they were both terrible this break. But so I just think if you're going to blame one, blame the other. Because Italy, in 2 games, they scored 1 goal. That's not good enough if you want to win the group. And for me, I think Mancini, and they were outplayed. Enzo, you can agree with me on this one. They were outplayed. Netherlands outplayed them. 100%.
Yeah.
And Poland, we outplayed Poland, but we couldn't finish. I think, in my opinion, you should have brought in Berardi and Caputo to change the match. That's what I think you should have done. Because Caputo, this guy, yes, he's the oldest one, or maybe, I think he's the same age as Immobile, maybe. Or a year older, or 2, whatever. He's the oldest guy playing striker for Italy. But this guy plays with something. He plays with an edge, and he plays with the passion and what Italy needs in the number 9. He's always there at the right time, and he creates chances, and he can finish. I would have played him in the second half of the match if you really wanted a spark. Just my opinion. Even Berardi too, the way he plays. He's a great player to watch, and I'm just surprised that Mancini didn't give him a chance. That's one thing I'm just surprised about as well.
Yeah, I agree. I think Mancini is a great defender, actually. Honestly, like I'm not just saying it because I'm a Roma fan. I think Gianluca Mancini has done really well for Roma. I think he's turned into a leader.
The coach as well.
The coach, yeah. But I also think the defender. I feel like he should get a shot. Yeah. I honestly feel like he can battle Romagnoli for a starting spot. They move 3 to back. I'm confident in saying that.
See, I think Mancini. In my opinion, I think Mancini and Romagnoli can start now. That's just my opinion. I think those two, maybe not Romagnoli because he's slowly coming back from an injury. I think Mancini can start now. That's just my opinion. I feel like this season he looks better than last season. I think in my opinion he's better now towards the end of last season and now than he was when he first joined Roma.
Yeah, he's improving in front of our eyes, becoming a leader. His ball distribution is fantastic.
And he also can win headers too. He's tall.
He's strong, he's tall, he's aggressive. The fouls got to stop with that a little bit, but other than that, I think he's a great defender, and I think Italy can utilize him in the future.
We got a lot of good, solid defense coming up, like center backs, left backs, right backs coming up as well. High on Romagnoli could be a really good player for us. Mancini, and even Bastoni, who I think should be starting at Inter over the guys that have been playing. He's a good center back too to look out for. And Italy's got they got the pieces. I think it's just one thing we're missing is a clinical number 9. That's one thing we're missing.
We've been without a number 9 for years now. It's been a while. We've had Hader, we've had Pelé.
The best number 9 in the recent years, besides Balotelli, has been Pelé.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
Let's think about that.
Yeah. Immobile, I know you said you feel like Belotti should be equally criticized, which I agree he has been awful for Italy. Only thing is, you can't be scoring 36 goals in the Serie A and
can you create
playing like that. Like he does deserve the scrutiny he's been getting, more so than Belotti for what he's achieved in the Serie A.
Yeah.
Because Immobile's always been a player. Look, come on, in Europa League you see him scores 2 goals or something in the group stage. Anywhere that's not the Serie A, Immobile can't score, and that's just a fact at this point. And he's not getting any younger. Like, this should be the best years of his career. And if he's not performing now for the national team, he never will, and he never has in the past. So I don't know. Italy, honestly, I'm not like, I know Caputo, we always have a joke in this podcast, like Daniel loves Caputo, but I honestly think Caputo might be our best number 9, and I'm not kidding. I think.
Yeah. And you can even make a case too. Like, people are gonna call this. This is gonna be a crazy statement. Like, you'll be surprised if Petagna has a good enough year this year. I can see Petagna being one of the options for number 9 coming off the bench in Euros.
Look, I don't think it's crazy at all. I think the number 9 position is wide open right now, wide open for anyone's taking, and we'll see who comes and gets it. And come Euro time,
don't even be surprised. Even
we'll
a guy like Cutrone or even Scamacca too. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if you see one of those guys get called up as well.
Yeah, who knows? We have a long season ahead of us. The number 9 spot, everyone's battling for it. We'll see. I think it's wide open right now, personally.
Yeah, that's my opinion too. I think even, you know what too? Even the right wing position, I think that's why the battle's wide open.
Yeah, Chiesa's been awful. And I think, honestly, when Insigne comes back, I wouldn't be surprised if Pellegrini's on the right wing at this point, honestly.
I wouldn't be surprised if, say, Zaniolo comes back before the Euros, he's our right winger as well.
Yeah, I think at the Euros we'll see Zaniolo. He'll be back in probably late February, maybe April, maybe the latest. So
give him, just don't play him too much, and then utilize him at the Euros. Let him play at Euros. See if he's capable.
Yeah, I think we'll definitely have Zaniolo as an option. I'm hopeful.
Me too. I'm hopeful too for the Italian national team. Like, he's something else, man. When he plays, he's a special player, and he changes the game for Italy. He's a different style than Chiesa, and I like his style more than I do Chiesa's.
Yeah, I think he offers something completely different. I think we did well talking about the national team. We have a question on Twitter. I guess we'll end off with that. I know it's a short one today, but there honestly isn't much to talk about. We'll have obviously a usual length one, probably like 40 minutes to an hour next week. We'll have all the guys back. But yeah, for this one, it's going to be pretty short. We have Totti's Flow at BATULLIR on Twitter. Going forward, do you think the league should make COVID rules in order to prevent what happened in the Juventus versus Napoli game from happening again? If so, what should the rule be? Danny, what do you think the rule should be?
See, in my opinion, I might be wrong about saying this, but again, it's our opinion. It makes sense when I explain it. I think if a team has more than 5 COVID cases who tested positive, I say players, maybe 7 to 10 with staff included, like 10 overall, but 5 players tested positive, I think the game should be postponed. And if a test is positive, if the player is tested positive the day before the game, or even the day before the game, or the day of the game, I think the game should be postponed for 2 to 3 days, so the players can get tested and see. And if there's more cases going on, just postpone the match. Kind of like what the NFL does. The NFL, they do daily testing, and say one person gets tested positive, the team shuts down the facility for a week or so, and then they keep testing. But if the test comes back and there's no cases, then they'll open up on, say, the Friday, and the game will go on Sunday. But if there's a player that tests positive on the Friday, then they'll postpone the game until maybe the Monday night or even Tuesday. And if it gets worse, then they just postpone it to another week. So I kind of want to see that with the Serie A, but it's easier said than done. And I just think they got to do something about cases coming the day off, because a lot of cases happen a day or two before the match starts, or even sometimes, rarely, it'll be day of the match. So I kind of want to see something like how the NFL does it, and I think that would be better, and it causes less bullshit towards the league.
Yeah, well said. Obviously right now, I'm pretty sure the amount of cases you need for a game to be postponed is 13, I believe. I could be wrong.
Yeah, I think it's around that time, that number. I think it's 13 as well.
Yeah, don't quote me on that, but that could be so. I think, I agree with Danny. I think 13 cases is ridiculous. Not many teams will get that, so I feel like with 5, at least, let's say Napoli don't feel comfortable going, they have 5 players, okay, postpone the match, whatever. 13 is a harder mark to match. So if Napoli has, like, for example, 8 players, or it doesn't have to be Napoli, any team, let's say they have 8 players with COVID, they're not going to feel comfortable traveling, but they still have to, because they know if they don't, they'll get a forfeit, because they have to
Yeah.
match the 13 mark. So I feel like if it's lower, it'll be easier to handle for other teams. They don't feel like it's safe to travel.
And
But
it's kind of like
honestly,
not fair too, because also I think the rule is you have to have, I think it's 15 eligible players as well. So
wow.
I don't know if it's 15 eligible players or I think it's somewhat. You need to have a starting 11 and then at least, I think, 4 max subs or something to play that game.
Yeah, so Totis Flow, it's kind of hard to give like an exact,
Yeah.
like, honestly, COVID's a mess. We don't know what's going on. But in my opinion, Totis Flow, to sum it up, I think right now, the way the protocols are lined up, it's leaning towards favoring having matches played rather than the safety. So I feel like they need to balance that out a little bit more because 13, I think the Serie A knows it's very unlikely that they will get 13 cases and less than 15 players will be eligible to play. So they're like, okay, we'll make this a
Because
protocol,
then at that,
and then
at
games will
that,
be forced to be
yeah,
played.
at
So
that
yeah,
point, you have to call up, you would be forced to call up players from your Primavera. Or even,
yeah,
in case it's not going to work, because a few times players from the Primavera had COVID.
yeah.
Teams would have to call up players from like the under 17s, under 15s or something to like just fill in our roster spot.
Yeah, to sum it up right now, protocols are leaning towards playing the games a little
Yeah.
bit too much. So I try and balance that out, lessen the number of players required. But yeah, I think we did good to touch up on that. Great question. We really like questions like that. Keep them
Yeah, it was
coming
a
for the
good
next
question.
podcast.
It's tough to say, especially like because none of us have medical backgrounds or are too, what's the word, like just know enough to give you a correct answer. It's just what I think they should do and kind of based off like what the NFL does, which I think the NFL does a really good job. I know sometimes it gets hectic with the postponements, but at the end of the day, the games are being played and they'll find a way to be played overall, like throughout the season. So
Yeah, well said. We'll wrap it up there. Next week, like I said, it'll be a much longer podcast. We appreciate the question once again, Totti Flow. Go check him out on Twitter. And yeah, we'll be back next week. We'll recap match day 4, I believe. Should be match day 4. We already had Thursday. Yeah, match day 4.
yeah, match day 4.
So we'll recap match day 4 next week and any other news that comes out. Thank you for listening. Go check us out on social media at Six Side Calcio everywhere. Twitter, Instagram, even Facebook now we're on there. So go check us out. Thank you for all the support we've been getting as of late. And we'll talk to you guys next week. Ciao ragazzi.
Ciao guys.